Hey everybody, this is Rod Meldon, the Book of Mormon Evidence Guy. We are here at the Davis County Convention Center at the Ephraim Foundation Expo. This is the 36th International Book of Mormon Evidence Conference.
That's amazing.
You've been here several times. I've done presentations and so forth, and it's so good to have you back here in Utah.
It's great to be here.
But just in case you don't automatically recognize this handsome fellow here, this is Michael Rush. And he lives out in Tennessee area.
I lived in Tennessee. I now live in North Carolina,
North
just
Carolina. That's right.
north of Charlotte.
That's right. Anyway, but if you've been following some of his podcasts and so forth, which a lot of people are and do, we've had a lot of just tremendous stuff. I don't know what kind of memory you have, but basically, you know, a lot of times he'll just kind of put the camera there and then just take a walk through the woods, completely without Persia script, and just going for it. And it's amazing. You have a tremendous knowledge of things. So you're about to speak to our conference here in the next 45 minutes or so. What are you going to tell us?
So I'm going to talk about black swan events. And if you're not familiar with that term, it's a business term that, discusses events that nobody sees coming. And they don't see them coming because of a normalcy bias, right? When we're looking at the future, we do so from the perspective of the past. And we think that things are always going to be like they've been. And so when these black swan events happen, everybody is shocked, right? So black swan events are very hard to see in advance because of that. And when they happen, they change the world. They're paradigm shifting events. And then the third thing that they all have in common is that once they've happened and the normalcy bias has been shattered, it becomes obvious that this was always going to happen, something like it. Like, I think a great example of a black swan event from a religious perspective would be the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. The Jews simply could not believe that the God they worshipped would condescend to come and be killed
and get killed
by men. Beaten almost to death, stripped naked, and crucified in a public place. That would not register that God would do that. I mean, that was a black swan event if there ever was one. In fact, when Christ was telling his apostles, listen, we're going to Jerusalem and I'm going to be killed there, they wouldn't believe it. They could not believe it. They had no box. The God of Israel cannot be killed.
Especially, he just had recently, resurrected Lazarus.
Correct.
So,
I mean, here's an all-powerful being.
How can you be killed when you can give life back to someone else?
So this was a black swan event.
Maybe describe everything. In case somebody doesn't know what a black swan event is. It's basically just something that comes out of
So like 9/11 is another example of a black swan event. If I would have told you on 9/10 that terrorists were going to fly essentially missiles into two skyscrapers, commercial airliners, and that these two, buildings were going to collapse into dust in their own footprints, and that it would change everything for Americans from a, privacy perspective, and that millions of people would be killed around the world from wars stemming from this, you'd think I was a conspiracy theorist, a nut. That's a black swan event. Something nobody sees coming. It changes everything. And then afterwards, you start hearing things, these Middle Eastern men came into my flight school and they only wanted to learn how to fly planes, not land them. I mean, there's things that are, crazy red flags. I mean, these black swan events become obvious that they were going to happen
once they happen
in retrospect, but not before because of this normalcy bias. So what I'm really going to be talking about is there's kind of this thought process, and you look since the Christ came the first time, every generation has thought he's coming now, he's coming in our day, and that's because there's certain of these signs have always been happening. There's always been wars and rumors of wars. There's always been earthquakes in diverse places, waves heaving beyond their bounds. And people could always look at these things and say, look, it's happening right now, and think that it was going to happen in their day. But there's these black swan events that I think are the missing components. So I'll be talking about these black swan events that I think are going to change everything. So, there are certain scriptures that say, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. Meaning, people were getting married, they were going to work, they were going on vacation,
going about their lives, basically,
until the rain started. But guess what? The rain was a black swan event. That rain changed everything.
Yeah.
Nobody believed that what Noah was saying could really happen, but it happened, and it changed everything. And obviously,
brings to mind a couple of scriptures that talk about in the last days before Christ comes, is that there will be peace, peace, and it says, and then sudden destruction. I mean, when it happens, I think it's going to happen so fast and so furious, and things will come apart and unravel so quickly that people won't have time to react.
Yeah,
if they're not already prepared, it's too late.
That's, I think there will be things of such a magnitude that are going to be so shocking to people that they're not going to have a box for this, and it's going to be an incredibly vulnerable time, because there will be people that are going to be giving answers and evidences that are going to be contrary to what the Holy Ghost is telling you.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to be able to know what the Holy Ghost feels like, or you're not going to make it through this.
Which is interesting that's one of President Nelson's primary directives and teachings since he's become the prophet of the church is to say, what, we need to learn. I think the quote was that you will not be able to survive the events that are coming if you don't have a personal relationship with the Holy Ghost, and of course that means Christ.
And think about that. That to me suggests there's black swan events.
The fact that the church just spent however much it was to completely make the temple so it could shift in any direction. I think it's 5.5 feet.
That's not normal.
That's a magnitude of an earthquake that we have never considered or had. If that did in fact happen in Salt Lake, it would be one of the only buildings still standing.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today, is just what black swan events are and how I think they may be shaping the events of the last days.
Yeah, just as an outside comment, is that a lot of these black swan events, I think, for a long time, people have thought, well, this is going to be brought on by man. So, man-made, climate collapse, man-made, first it's going to be, the planet's overheating and it's overcooling and so forth. We're going to go into an ice age. But I think that it's a little bit presumptuous for us as human beings to think that the black swan events that are going to precede the coming of Christ have anything to do with us. These are going to be things at such a magnitude that basically Earth scale, if you will, or solar scale magnitude stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
That we can't even comprehend.
These are going. Nothing will be the same after these things happen. I mean, there's scriptures that say there will be a new heaven and a new earth.
Yeah.
It's not because the earth is actually going to be a completely different planet. It's going to be everything we understand about the heavens and the earth will be different after these black swan events.
And you've talked about, and I've talked about as well, in fact, I did a presentation about 3 or 4 years ago about the earth being rolled together as a scroll.
Yeah.
How is a scroll rolled together, and how is the earth and so forth, and where does it, and what about the city of Enoch, and at what point do the 144,000, which all have the priesthood,
exactly.
Does the people of Enoch have the priesthood?
I think you're talking about black swan events. I mean, a city of Enoch returning that's been taken from the earth, and that hasn't happened.
The city of Salem, Melchizedek's city.
His people were caught up to the city of Enoch. I mean, and they're going to be restored. I mean, this is bonkers stuff that's never happened before.
We've never even experienced such a thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why I remember there's certain sayings that talk about that people will become so distraught that they will basically just look up and curse God and die, because they just they completely lost any hope of living. But for those of us who know what's kind of going on, it'll be a little less dramatic maybe, but more understandable, but it's still going to be.
Yeah, there's one passage where Christ was with his apostles and disciples on the Mount of Olives, and they said, hey, talk to us about what it's going to be like when you come again.
When you come again,
And
yeah.
one of the things that he says that kind of haunts me is, in those days, men's hearts will fail them for fear for the things that they see coming upon the earth.
Yeah.
Black swan events, okay?
Yeah.
You don't have your heart stop for fear if things are normal.
Yeah.
Your heart stops with fear when a big hairy monster jumps around the corner and jump scares you. It's not normal. So, I think that people tend to project the past onto the future, and so they have this kind of false all is well in Zion kind of perspective. But I think that things are going to be, just think about it. In the millennium, if you make it into the millennium, what does that mean, right? Everyone who made it to when Christ came to the Nephites, they made it, right? So there's going to be a tremendous sifting before this happens.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crappy stuff in the world today, and this has to be resolved.
Yeah.
People have to take a side, one side or the other. And in order for that to happen, there is going to be events of such incredible nature that people will bifurcate themselves.
Yeah.
And it's going to be incredible to witness. It's going to be amazing.
Do you think we're going to live to see that day?
I absolutely believe we will see that day.
I do absolutely as well. Yeah, I think that day is coming. I don't know exactly when. I don't know how soon. There's been a lot of different predictions and all kinds of things, and there's been things going on just recently in the news about red heifers and, and so forth, and things going on there, which have actual timed things. The 2,300 days and 1,260 days and 1,290 days and so forth, talking about Daniel's numbers and things.
Yeah.
But from your study of the apocryphal works, what kind of black swan things do you see from that?
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking
about that?
9 different black swan events that I see. I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff, including the temple in Jerusalem.
You're not going to want to miss this.
This is, it's going to be a very interesting, I hope it's interesting to people because it's fascinating to me. Because, one of the things that is absolutely, positive is once all of these things have happened, we're going to be able to look back at the scriptures and go, of course, look at all of this stuff.
It said it right here.
Just like, now we can look back at the scriptures and we can see that, the law of Moses was a schoolmaster pointing us to the ultimate, infinite, eternal sacrifice of God. But before it happened, that was just so far out of the paradigm, it couldn't happen.
I think of some of the different black swan events, and maybe I should guess. See if I can guess a couple of them.
This is not an exhaustive presentation. I think they were.
You only have an hour to really to do it, but
I'm speaking for 2 hours, non-stop black swan events.
Okay, that's going to be right. well, I tell you, but there's a lot of people who are just anxiously awaiting your presentation. But I look at some things like there was Emanuel Velikovsky was a Russian-born Jew that wrote several books and so forth, and then there was an LDS guy, Anthony Larson, who wrote a trilogy of 3 books involving those, and I read those way, way, way back long ago, and when I talk to people about it, they're going, okay, now this is too weird, But he's talking about a new heaven and a new earth, and the sun, and all the different prophecies, and so forth. And Emanuel Velikovsky actually talked a lot about that stuff that happened around the time of Moses, and how that could have been explained by near collisions of planetary size between Mars and Jupiter, or not Jupiter, Mars and Venus and so forth, and coming through, and how the manna and so forth, and all these different plagues, and how they could have been brought on by close encounters with other planets. And when you talk about the city of Enoch, the city of Salem, the 10 tribes returning, and so forth, most people kind of, in the church today kind of think, well, the 10 tribes they're still here. But it's interesting because when it says when they return, It says there's going to be, the ice is going to flow down at their presence. There'll be a highway cast up in the midst of the great
But they're
deep.
already here, so how, that doesn't make any sense.
And they're going to bring their prophets with them. Well,
Yeah.
where are their prophets? I mean, is there some prophets somewhere that we don't know about on the earth today? And
To
I
me,
think
that
no.
is a black swan event.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's one.
That is
Got one.
referring to. That is the very first one I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, and then there's the earth rolling together. There's a scroll and
Yeah.
so forth, and there's some really amazing things that, in fact, Eliza R. Snow, who obviously was very close to the prophet Joseph Smith, and she wrote that, a song and so forth that talks about when these pieces of the earth are going to be brought back.
Yeah, that could be the rolling together of the earth as a scroll.
A scroll, exactly. Yeah.
Which, I mean, is not on anybody's radar. That would be a shocking
it's not
black
even
swan
on,
event.
It's not even on NASA's star charts at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that God is he's the king of the universe. He's over everything. He can. There's nothing that's impossible for him.
Yeah. It isn't interesting. Yesterday there was a talk that was given about how when Moroni came into the room of Joseph Smith, and the first time that he came in and instruct Joseph, right? And Joseph's description was as he came into the room, and the room became light as noonday. Mm-hmm. But then I've never really noticed this before. But then before he left, Joseph said that the light basically came. He gathered the light around him, and then left.
Yeah. And a conduit of light, basically.
Yeah, so he has somehow this ability to be able to direct or channel light in ways that and if that's the case, maybe it's something where we look out into space with our telescopes and everything, we don't see something coming.
Yeah.
Because the light that is emanating from that particular thing is somehow being controlled or blocked or whatever, and we're not seeing it happening. We're not seeing it coming.
Well, to think that Jesus Christ had to leave a long time ago to get here because he's traveling from point A to point B to get here for the second coming, is ridiculous, right? He can travel at the speed of thought. I mean, he's God. Yeah. So, there's things that are going to happen for which we have absolutely no box. Just think about it this way. When Christ spoke to the water and commanded it to be wine, you have electrons and protons and neutrons reorganizing themselves. Yeah. What is the difference? Yeah, it's
obeying his command.
What is the difference between that and magic, right? Things that he does and that will happen, there will be essentially no difference. Unbelievable.
There's no magic to God. There's nothing that's going to cause him to go, oh, how did that work?
God can literally, what he says is the law.
Yeah.
So if he says to the city of Enoch, come up here, it comes up here. Yeah. He doesn't have to put rocket ships underneath it and lift it up through some Newtonian physics. He just does it and it obeys him because he's God.
Yeah. Well, I am so excited about this, and I think we're running out of time here. But listen, Michael, I just want to take just a second, just thank you for all of your effort, your work, and for standing for the things that you have well, not just standing for the things that you believe in, but first off, ferreting out those things, and then being willing to share them with us. And love your spirit, your humility, your knowledge, and your faith. And,
thanks. I appreciate that, and there's so many people in the world today telling us what to think. We've kind of lost how to think, and that's what I try to do, is not tell people this is how you should be looking at this, but trying to get them to look at incredible scriptures and say, what does this really mean?
Yeah. And also, when they figure out what it means, have faith. This will come to pass. Yeah. Just like you mentioned with Noah and the ark and so forth. Yeah. I also think of the miracles of Moses. When they came up to the Red Sea and so forth. So just have faith. This is going to happen.
It's going to be awesome.
If you are faithful there's no guarantee you're going to survive it. Maybe that's actually going to be a good thing. And I tell people all the time, what's the worst thing somebody can do to you?
Yeah, they can kill you.
Kill you, and if that's the case, and you're living the way
Resurrection's
you
right
should
around
be,
the corner.
then hallelujah, it's game over.
Yeah,
you're there.
You
man.
get to come back, pretty soon anyway.
Yeah. Well, I sure appreciate our friendship, and thank you for being here and sharing this information. Everybody, if you'd like to learn what he says, you can go to the streaming website, and at the Book of Mormon Evidence, just go to bookofmormonevidence.org. Also, you have your website, which is
thelost10tribes.com.
Lost
10 is a 10.
Yep. And you can go there and check it out. If you haven't already read some of your books, my personal favorite is A Remnant Shall Return, especially those last chapters. Holy cow. That's really awesome stuff, man. But if you haven't read those, I highly recommend you do it. Do you have any other projects coming up?
I'm working on I have a YouTube channel. It's
Right.
Michael B. Rush.
Yep.
I'm working on putting together a podcast.
Nice.
Look to have my first episodes dropping at the end of this month, and that will be really fun.
All right. Well, listen, thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck on your talk.
Thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe if you like the things that you're seeing here on bookofmormonevidence.org. Subscribe to that, and also go to the streaming site, and you can watch the entire thing without commercial interruptions. And again, thank you.